An Alzheimer's disease diagnosis has been given to Phil Robertson, the lovable patriarch of Duck Dynasty. His son, Jase Robertson, made this sad disclosure in the October 2024 episode of the Unashamed with the Robertson Family podcast. The news represents a sad chapter in the life of a man whose faith and resolve have inspired millions.
Before going any further, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that so much.
Health problems started for Phil earlier this year, 2024, when his family noticed extraordinary changes in his behavior and physical well-being. Docs had previously thought that he had a blood disease that was ravaging his entire body. After heavy medical tests, they confirmed that indeed Phil is at the early stage of Alzheimer's disease. This has come as a big blow to the Robertson families, who have always taken refuge in their faith, especially during hopeless situations. "It's like everything is on fast forward," Jase said. "Dad can barely walk without crying out in pain. He's struggling a lot." He also shared that Phil misses being on their Unashamed podcast, where he once shared so many stories and wisdom. "The family has been forthright like the ailment. The doctors have told us there's no cure," Jase stated. "All we can do is make him as comfortable as possible." But despite that rather grim diagnosis, the Robertson family has shown continued support for Phil through this trial. They remain grateful for the prayers and best wishes coming their way from fans and friends around the world. The fame of Phil Robertson skyrocketed in 2012 when Duck Dynasty premiered on A&E. The reality show followed the Robertson family in running their business, Duck Commander, in West Monroe, Louisiana. With Phil at its helm, the company had already become a success story. The show amplified this, turning the family into cultural icons. That was balanced by the coarseness of Phil, his Christianity, and a straightforward nature. In their own right, Duck Dynasty made cable history, emerging as one of the most watched non-fiction programs ever to have existed. The success underlined that family, faith, and, yes, humor see one through most events in life. However, Phil's story wasn't without controversy. He once granted an interview to GQ back in 2013, where he made statements about homosexuality, which was a national debate. In the statement, he did quote several Bible verses through which he expressed his views about sins, and among them was homosexuality. These remarks led A&E to suspend him from the show named Duck Dynasty. The suspension polarized public opinion. LGBTQ+ rights groups applauded A&E's decision to take action, while conservative fans protested that Phil's views merely reflected his Christian faith and deserved respect. Social media went into overdrive as campaigns, including a Facebook page calling for the reinstatement of Phil, attracted more than 500,000 supporters. But just 9 days later, A&E lifted its suspension. Phil was reinstated to the show indeed. The controversy left scars. "They tried to cancel me," he said after the incident, "but it just didn't work. I still love everyone, even those who attack me. The Bible teaches us to love thy neighbor, even in their mistakes." The aftermath spilled into the show's viewership. In a New York Times report, it was noted that the ratings of Duck Dynasty suffered in 2014 in its 5th season. Despite the setback, the series still continued to 2017, when it finally ended after 11 successful seasons. When Duck Dynasty ended in 2017, Phil had no regrets. "I trusted God's plan," he said. "I wouldn't change a thing. I never called A&E to complain. I just moved forward." The show left an indelible mark, not only on the phenomenon as a TV show, but it portrayed Phil's unapologetic faith and made a huge influence on people's outlook on faith and family values. His faith has always been what has driven Phil in his life. In 2022, he published a book entitled Uncancelled, Finding Meaning and Peace in a Culture of Accusations, Shame, and Condemnation. The book highlighted his experience with the cancel culture and how his belief in Christianity helped him sail through. Phil certainly did his part to remind people of that in interviews touting the book. "I never felt hate," he said. "I simply gave a Bible verse. And what I think the Bible says, though some may not believe it, is to love everybody, even those with whom we disagree." Diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2024, the Robertson family faces new challenges. This is a disease that attacks the memory and cognitive functions of its victim. His life has really changed compared to what it was.